Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, everybody. My name is Aubrey Johansson, and we are at Playhouse Square here in Cleveland, Ohio, with some of the creative team of Waitress, the musical. We have the book author, Jessie Nelson, composer, Sara Bareilles, and director, Diane Paulus. We're so excited today. I'm really excited today. It's huge that this is launching in Cleveland. I know Cleveland has a lot of pride, and we have a lot of pride in this. I actually studied opera at a local university here, so I've been coming to Playhouse Square all my days of young times, but just really excited to have a story that hits really close to home and diving into really personal issues that Waitress is bringing to light. And what I do in my daytime job, I'm a personal chef. I'm not a skilled pie baker.
You're an opera singer and a personal chef and a journalist.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
That's the
That's
modern
incredible.
woman.
So strange. But what I think what ties me here into doing this with you all is I run a social media account. I run That's What She Eats on Instagram. I have about 125,000 followers.
Cool.
And I run it on topics of strong women, self-empowerment, creating the life that you really want for yourself. So here I am hanging out with all of you strong ladies.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So we're really excited. We're going to ask some questions and talk a little bit about Waitress.
Amazing.
Great. Okay. So when Waitress was first being developed, did you guys go into it wanting an all-female creative team, or was this just merely coincidental?
Diane.
Yes, I've been asked this many times, and I always say that every person on this creative team is in their job because they are the top in their field and perfect for this project. So the fact that it is an all-woman creative team, I think, is a reflection of the 21st century world, because guess what? There are women who are amazing book writers, composers, choreographers. We're there.
Yeah.
In fact, when we went to Broadway, I remember saying, like turning to the team and saying, maybe someone should go research this, because I think this might be the very first time this has ever happened on Broadway.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even that we were conscious of it, but I think when we noted it, we wanted to mark it because it is a landmark. It had not been done on Broadway, and it's really there to ring the bell, break the glass ceiling so that it's done and we can all move on, and we can, invite everyone else through the door to follow in our footsteps. So it wasn't a casting agenda that way, but here we are, and it's been an amazing, amazing experience to have an all-female team.
That's so cool. It's not even about just being like a girl boss. You're just a boss in general.
Exactly.
All of you bosses. That's awesome. So how has the dynamic been working with this strong team opposed to maybe other shows that you've done? How do you feel it's been different this time around?
It's your favorite.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite child. I think every show demands a certain kind of love and attention based on the subject matter. And this one is very special and very real. So I think this show asks all of us in all our different capacities to bring out that care, and that vulnerability. So that's how we worked. I think we really strove to create that kind of atmosphere in the room for each other so that we could all risk and do our best work. Don't know if you want to speak writing and creating.
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it, and especially because we were working from material based on a film that was written by a woman named Adrienne Shelley, and she's no longer with us.
Yeah.
So I think we all felt very reverent about her legacy and wanting to be vigilant about our contributions, sort of living up to what we were hoping would make her proud. But I think we all had like such a strong relationship to the material and the subject matter anyway. So it really, and this is my first time and Jessie's first time working in the theater. So, we were coming in as newbies with, under great leadership, but so there is something about that, working in a new medium and the excitement of not knowing what the hell you're doing.
How long it takes.
How long it takes. I always say this story, if I had known this was going to be like a project that now is going on our my fifth year of working on this project, I don't think I would have I would never have been able to predict how much I would have loved it, or that it would have changed my life as substantially as it did. But I would have said no. I would have been like, hell no. 4 years? No, that's not how I work. I have Golden Girls to watch.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So when I'm thinking in terms of a recipe I create it in my head, and when I'm tasting it for the first time, I'm wondering, is it going to be like what I expected? Is it going to be better? For your project in this way, how did you expect this to resonate with audiences? The storyline, has it been the same? Has it been better? Has it changed the way you look at the show?
You know, I think because it was Sarah's and my first time, I went into this with no expectation beyond trying to do the best that I could possibly do and learn as much as I possibly could from the team that had done it more than I. So the fact that it was received well and has this life here and that we're in Cleveland, you know, is just such an incredible blessing. But I think when you're in the process of working on it, all you're focusing on is the work. It's like you're in labor and you haven't even gotten to the baby yet. You're just going, oh my God, how can I keep being brave and keep sculpting and daring to throw out stuff that could be better? And, you know, so for me, you have to kind of let go of expectation and just stay really focused on where you are in the process.
I think doing our first preview here last night, though, it was this amazing milestone for us.
Yeah.
Having done the show first at ART, up at Harvard, and then Broadway, and now coming out on tour.
Yeah.
And being out here, like, right here in Ohio, like, bam, listening to that audience. It's such a magical moment because you are so in isolation. Crafting, perfecting, details, props, gestures, the new actors, you really do work in isolation. But the proof of the pudding, not quite a pie metaphor, is it received? And just sitting there last night in the biggest audience we've ever had, I mean, 1,000+ people, I mean, it was just enormous. Like you sit in the house out here and it's like a football field of people. It's so exciting. And you just hear the recognition. That is so affirming.
Absolutely.
Because you hope that when you focus so specifically, that specificity is going to hit chords, like, to people.
Yes.
Universally, you know, that's the goal. So there was a woman 3 seats down from me, and she just had a whole vocal score the whole time. Like, oh yeah. And I was like, that was like personal affirmation of the story landing. It was so exciting.
Well, I'm glad Cleveland welcomed you in that way.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
We're so excited. This is awesome. So I'm wondering about speaking to younger generations of women. What impact are you hoping that this show is going to teach younger generations of women to kind of hope and wish for themselves on their lifelong journey?
You know, the thing I think of when I think of young women, or myself as a young woman, is not letting fear get in your way. That fear is a positive thing, and to kind of let fear be your tailwind rather than your headwind. You know, let it. If you're feeling it, that might mean you're about to do something really exciting, as opposed to something that you should back up from. So
Yes, preach.
Yeah.
That is so good.
So
That's great.
that's the biggest thing I want young women to embrace, or even my daughter, to not ever let that stop you.
Yes, definitely. So Jessie, what have you learned about working on your first Broadway musical?
It's hard. It's like getting a rug down. You get this side, oh, it's perfect, and then this side rolls up, and then you get that side down. You know, there's so many elements to it: the story, the music, the staging. It's the deepest collaboration I've ever experienced. And
I second that. It's so much. It's like an orchestra every night, and I mean, from the company on stage to the crew, the cast and crew working backstage, and in the lighting booth, and the whole theater crew. We create a singular experience that happens 8 times a week, and it's the same architecture, but every show is very different from the next. I mean, we've seen this show hundreds of times at this point, and every show is different and has like a little moment, and sometimes there's just this magic, this sweet spot that emerges, and so much of it has to do with the audience. And I think that's what's so exciting about this medium in particular, is that it's so intimate and it's so alive. And I think with contextualized in a world that feels so heavy and so dark so much of the time, it's really nice to be working on something that is intended to strike an emotional chord with its receivers, and ultimately inspire hope and joy. So that feels really cathartic for me.
That's really special. I like what you're saying, how it's an orchestra, it's a team effort. I'm wondering, did you two work together on the music timeline? Were you on your own timeline? Did you collaborate through the process of writing it all out? Or are you just sitting at your piano doing your thing?
I did it all by myself. No, it was very deeply collaborative. It was sending snippets of songs to the whole team and getting feedback. It was a great piece of advice that I got very early on from a friend of mine named Beth Thornley, who's written a musical about Abu Ghraib, oddly, which is it's actually a great musical. It's called Bad Apples. But she's like, don't be precious. Instead of writing an entire song, write a verse chorus, write an idea. Exchange the ideas much earlier than I would normally be compelled to do. I'm very insular when I work for my records. I don't share ideas until they're all the way complete. And this was like, what do you think, guys? Am I in the ballpark? And so many times I got such great feedback. Either an idea I was gonna scrap, like I didn't plan it. Our song that opens Act 2 for Becky, which is a total showstopper moment for charity here in Cleveland, and I was like, I don't think the song is good enough, and I was gonna just scrap it completely. And I remember sitting around the table, and Diane's like, "No, I love that song."
Tell the She Used to Be Mine MP3 story.
Oh yeah. So well, the first time when Sarah and I met, we talked about the film, and I said to Sarah, like, just go home and watch the movie. We hadn't met this amazing ingredient yet for our pie. We hadn't gotten to Jessie yet. We were just beginning.
Yeah.
And I said, go watch the film and just write from your heart. Like, don't worry about the plot, the narrative, where the song sits in a musical format. Just respond. And you did. And in my inbox popped this MP3 that said She Used to Be Mine. And it was just verse chorus.
Yeah.
I think it was verse chorus.
No, it was actually. Well, no, I think it was the entire song. I think the way my demo exists of that song is that it hasn't changed. Like that, most of the songs have changed a lot and have like evolved. That one was like, it was this portal into the world, as I remember it. There could have been an iteration that was a verse chorus, but I feel like it kind of just poured out. And that, I was like, thanks, Adrian. Like, I felt like something showed up to let it be an open door into this world.
But that's remarkable that 5 years in, sitting in the audience last night, and She Used to Be Mine started.
That's
like,
still the constant.
There you go. There was that song out of your heart, out of the gate, and it's just there, and it's so right.
Yeah.
And to see, all these different Jennas now through our history on the show, like access the show through that song. It's really powerful.
And it's exciting. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to see it on Friday. I've seen the movie, but I'll be seeing the show this week on Friday, and I really can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Diane, I'm wondering, what initially drew you to this project? What sparked that light bulb for you that said, I have to do this?
I think it was the combination of the movie being quirky and whimsical and really funny and theatrical. It was like set in a diner, and then it had scenes in a doctor. It wasn't a film that was taking you 60 locations around the world. I looked and I was like, that's like a unit set. There was something about it that felt contained. So it felt like it had theatrical containment in a way. And then the characters were so, real and funny and messy, and then the real thing was the emotional impact. The fact that the movie dared to go to really, really deep emotional places while retaining that lightness. So it was that combination that I thought, that's a musical, right? Because it can't be all tragedy. That's kind of hard to do in a musical. You have to have that joy and resilience and lightness, and you have to want to be able to sing, not only, from like deep sorrow, but from joy and release. But I like musicals that pack that punch, so when I saw it, and we talk about this, but maybe not enough that this relationship to the baby is so interesting. And I remember when I saw that film, and it was that kind of like thing of like, what, this mother's pregnant and she doesn't want the baby, she's not in love with the baby.
Right.
And I remember reading an interview with Adrienne Shelley, and she had been pregnant when she was writing the screenplay. She's like, everyone assumes you get pregnant and like it's a love fest, but most women are terrified.
Right.
And I remember being terrified. I remember walking around in New York and just looking at every person on the street and thinking, every single person here was born. So there was a mother somewhere, and they all managed.
Yeah.
You're gonna get through this. I mean, I would just look at people like, it's possible. It's really possible. Because it's so daunting. The thing of the fear of it. So I love that aspect of the movie, that it's kind of wrong, that she's like, dear baby, sorry that I'm not excited about you. I love that kind of, that complication.
And honesty.
And that honesty.
Yeah.
So one more question for you. What makes this show right now so special compared to other shows that you've done, like Finding Neverland, which I ugly sobbed all the way home, my 12-minute commute all the way through. But what makes this special? Is it just the right now? Is there a moment that sticks out for you?
I love that this show like sheds a light on this diner and that community of people. I just think, to be able to tell a story about this woman, like having a female protagonist who's a working class woman dealing with mess in her life, that I just feel like that is what we're living. And as you said, despite all that, and what you said, despite the fear, that she finds a way to claim her voice and use the fear as a, what did you say, a tailwind? That I just think that story right now, because we are living in a time where it can feel impossible. I just feel sometimes it just feels impossible to like live through a day and dare to wake up the next morning and like face whatever we have to face. So this is a show that just zeroes in on people who are facing really tough times. And I think the audience appreciates that. It's not glossing over that.
Right.
And yet we do it with humor. We do it with your incredible music. And we just say, get in there. And through friendship and female friendship and community in unexpected ways, and amazing men in our story that just kind of open up, our characters to claim their whole selves. That's what, don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up. It's about resilience, so that story we need.
Definitely. I think it's important for today's day and age. Yes. So one final question. What does it mean to be launching your tour here in Cleveland?
We love Cleveland. I mean, we talk about it all the time. First of all, the food's extraordinary.
Yay, I'm so
it's good.
glad.
And the people are so kind and open, and we're having a really special experience. And the theater here is so beautiful. So
I was just talking about this. To have, first of all, having come through Cleveland many times on tour, the people are ravenous about their fandom. Whether it's sports, or it's theater, it's music, it's food. It's like it is a vital, vibrant place to be, and to have the kind of resources to create and preserve and restore a complex like this of theaters is outrageous. This just doesn't happen. You see all these theaters dilapidated all over the world, and it's so sad. And to have this chunk of space be preserved and so pristinely so is just really special.
And they're big theaters.
They're gorgeous.
And it was
So
filled
romantic.
last night. I mean, that's I'm like, who's gonna come? And then like last night, it was just
incredible.
so packed here with people. It's like a mecca. You just feel a vibrancy and an appreciation for the arts and theater.
That's amazing. I'm so glad. So many people love Cleveland. We'll stay as long as we can. We're a supportive city. We want to support things that need love and support. So I'm glad that people are showing up for you. Everybody's really excited. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. Thank you to Playhouse Square for having us. Come see Waitress. It's open now through November 5th. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.